Okay, so here is my schedule for the week. Just kind of gives an overview of when I have meetings and things like that so that you can see what's happening during the week. An important day to take note of is that I will not be in this Thursday, but I do have a supply teacher for the day, Ms. Silvestri, who the students know and have worked with before. Okay, so on Monday morning, it's going to impact on our literacy block a bit because we have an assembly that will basically take the whole first period. And so when we come back, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to look at our provocation on garbage versus recycling, and students will kind of share what they already know, and then I've got some resources that they can look at that will help kind of generate some new knowledge, as well as hopefully lead to some questions and wonders that will take us throughout the week as well. So then on Tuesday, we're also going to look at a different provocation with the leftover stuffed animals. The last of the groups will come on Monday to get theirs, and look at the idea of dialogue and how students can write these kind of complete sentences, use their resources to help expand on the dialogue, and then connect with the idea of drama. And I want to do that because I noticed with the students on Friday that there's definitely a really big interest in using drama, music, to help share ideas. The students are creative. They love that kind of opportunity. So I think that if we could kind of link the writing with the drama piece, we could even use some apps like Puppet Pals and things like that to kind of have the students share from there. So then on Wednesday, I thought about looking at creating a media text to help with the idea of garbage versus recycling. What kind of information can they include, and how can they share this with others as well? So they're not just educating us, but hopefully trying to make a change in the school. And maybe we could even look at how they can go and get some information from other classes too. This may not be something that's necessarily done then, but in terms of going class to class and looking at their garbage versus their recycling and what do they notice. So then on Thursday, we can, and this might actually be something to do, in period 2, because I do have a slightly smaller group at that moment because of when other people are pulled out. So it would be kind of an easier thing to look at that time with the different group size, but still really focusing on getting the students to find out and then share what they've learned, and from there kind of develop a plan. Thursday, look at how they can help others learn what to do. So we could look at maybe writing an announcement together. What would that say? And then students can also focus on creating some other media texts as well. Looking at writing those complete sentences, so we can really kind of try to put those ideas together from there. And then on Friday, look at the idea of documenting our day, and I really want to link that in with time. So I've got the clocks out all week, and I've got the clocks out, all week, and I'm going to get them to really kind of zero in on what's happening at different times, and then they can share what happens and when, to help kind of tell our parents about what's happening on the day. So this could actually be even their voice in our documentation. And then from a math perspective this week, on Monday, we're going to go back and look at the clock art. It was what we didn't do last week because there was kind of a change in plans with the stuffed animals. So I'm creating some art afterwards based on some of the found objects in the classroom and what kind of things to include. Look at the different components of clocks so that students can kind of see, what are important things to think about when it comes to the individual clocks. And then on Tuesday, we're going to start looking at the idea of directions and locations, and using items in the classroom as well, so they can start to describe where the items are in relation to other items and different items in the room. And then this ties in nicely with coding and with programming, and so we're going to program different items to move, and students are able to describe what they did, and then share with the different locations. And when they're actually looking at moving the items in a different background, one of the things that we can then look at is non-standard measurement as well. It ties in nicely from there too, because they're going to have to make sure that they move the items far enough over so they can get an idea of how many of each one over it is for the little sprite to move. And then on Wednesday, we're going to look at objects and structures in the community and how to create some different 3D models of them. So what are some different ones that are there, and how can they create kind of the 3D models from there, and then how the size might vary depending on the different materials used, and how could they make it, bigger, and what would that mean in terms of the different number of materials that they would need. And then on Thursday, we're going to look at some natural items in the environment, and students will be able to use some different found materials and shapes to create them. So this will be the one that's done with the supply teacher and document what they did and how they can tell others what to do, so they can look at how to create them together. I think we might maybe model one and then get the students to create it. They can take some pictures and stuff to show what they've done. And then on Friday, we're going to start looking at creating some little mini communities. Decide on some lists of categories of objects that they're going to need to include. And then we're going to tie this in with the idea of positional language, so that they can compare the one areas to the other as they kind of take people on walks through the communities. We'll add in some labels and stuff, so there's going to be a language component to this piece as well, and they'll be able to work in little groups to actually create their little mini communities, and then record a little video to talk about what they've done, or take a picture that with their labeled stuff to share what they've done, so that others can kind of learn from what they've done about the different community pieces as well, and what their community looks like, and the impact of some of these natural and man-made items. Because the other thing we're going to look at is what would happen if some of them started to disappear, which will kind of be the starting point for a look on communities, so it has a nice social studies tie-in.